Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Bhaskar Sundaram, and with my co-host,
Ashley Case,
we will be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry.
Today's guest is Sunil Agrawal. Sunil has over 18 years of experience in defense, IT, and telecom and facilities management sectors, and has worked with MNCs like Thales Group, Ericsson, and ISS-AS. Sunil is currently the head of commercial excellence, APAC, at ISS-AS, a facility management company headquartered in Denmark. At ISS-AS, Sunil established the commercial excellence function, which encompasses bid management, price management, CRM administration, graphics designing, and knowledge management. As a member of the ISS Asia Pacific Commercial Leadership Team, he supports the development and execution of the regional commercial strategy and governance, associated reporting, and commercial model sign-offs. Prior to his corporate stint, Sunil has served as an officer in the elite Indian Airforce for 10 years. Sunil is the chair of APMP India and a member of the Intentional Career Path Committee of APMP International. He is part of APMP 40 Under 40 class of 2020 and was a blue ribbon panel member for the APMP body of knowledge. Sunil holds a bachelor's degree in electronics engineering, a postgraduate diploma in business administration, along with professional accreditations in aeronautical engineering and strategic management. Wow, Sunil likes to travel and spend time with his family when he finds time from his work and studies. Welcome, Sunil, to Scribble Talk. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Ashley and Bhaskar. Glad to be here.
Well, we're excited to hear about where you were born, where you grew up, and where you went to school.
Okay, so I was born in Mumbai. I was born and brought up in Mumbai. Mumbai, as you know, is the financial capital of India and is rather popularly known as the city of dreams or the Maya Nagari in Hindi. Now, the reason why it is called a city of dreams is because you have the Bollywood industry based out of India, and you also have the headquarters of some of the big houses like Reserve Bank of India and National Stock Exchange, and most of the big legends are all based in Mumbai.
Wow. And so is that where you went to school?
Yeah, so I did my schooling and graduation from Mumbai itself. I never ventured out of Mumbai till the time I picked up my first job.
Okay.
I completed my engineering in electronics from a college in Bandra in Mumbai, which is called as Father Conceição Aeronautics College of Engineering. It ranks amongst the top 5 engineering institutes in Mumbai. Later also during my job, I also did a postgraduate diploma as you mentioned. So that was during the job. But before I picked up my first job, I never ventured out of Mumbai.
Oh my goodness. So where was your first job located then?
My first job was with Indian Air Force, and Indian Air Force. So it is a long story, and I'll go on telling you the entire story because I think it is one of the interesting things to note. So during my campus interviews in my college, I was selected by two companies. One was Infosys and another one was Wipro, and both of these are IT firms and well-reputed firms in India. And then during the campus placement itself, Indian Air Force team also came up for the interviews, and they gave their pep talk. And the most interesting thing which they offered us free tickets to one of the hill stations in India, because that was where their selection center was located. And we had completed our exams and thought, what would be a better opportunity than to go on a sponsored trip across at one of the best hill stations in the country. So I, and along with some of my college friends, we ventured out for this. We opted for this. We ventured for this. We took the free tickets and we went to the selection center. And this was a selection process was a 5-day long process, and we had no idea about the selection process. So all the campus interviews which we had given were an hour-long interviews, and we got selected. But this was a 5-day long interview. Wow. There were a number of tests. There were a number of activities that we had to do, group discussions, psychometric analysis tests, and all of those. And we were not prepared. We went there for a sort of vacation, and and we did not have even proper formal clothes for the interview process. There was a final round of interviews, and I remember some of my friends did not carry leather shoes. They were in sports shoes, and they appeared for that interview in the sports shoes itself.
Oh.
And they were kind of kicked out. Why are you here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but the interesting fact was that I and one of my other friend, one of my college friends, we both of us got selected, and yeah, I was serving the country as an officer. So when you're given a choice to serve the country or to serve two companies, I choose to serve the country.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So how long were you in the Indian Air Force?
Yeah, so in Indian Air Force, there are two types of commissions, as we call them. One is called a short service commission, another is called as permanent commission. The short service commission is for 10 years. And at the end of 10 years, you get an option of either you want to get released from the service, or you can extend it for another 4 years, or you can convert that to permanent commission. And on the other hand, permanent commission is something that you have to serve till the age of superannuation or till the time you want to get a release on compassionate grounds. So I had, and since we had no idea about where I was getting into, the forms that we choose, in fact, we were supposed to fill the forms, right? And there were two boxes, I still remember. One was called as short service commission and another was called as permanent commission. And when I and my friend were filling the form, he was like, what does SSC? And it was written in short form. It was an acronym which says SSC and another said PC. And we were like, dude, we don't have to join this, right? Let's just fill anything. So I checked the checkbox for SSC. He selected the checkbox for PC. He's still in service while I'm outside.
Oh, oh my goodness. What an interesting story, my gosh. I guess so after you served your term in the Indian Air Force, then what did you go on to do?
Yep. So at the time when I was given that option of whether I want to continue the service or whether I want to come out and opt for a release, I chose to get a release. I said, I thought in my brain was like, I have seen this Air Force way of life. Let's try and experience the corporate way of life. And that's when I selected to come out. And as a part of your release program, the Indian Air Force offers you resettlement courses so that we veterans who don't know anything about the corporate world can come out and understand how the corporate world works, right?
Okay, yeah.
So then I was doing my 6-month full-time business administration course in Mumbai, in one of the reputed colleges in Mumbai. And that is where I connected with many other veterans who had settled in the corporate world. And then that is when one of my contacts told me about a vacancy in his own company and asked me to pass the CV so that he can then forward it to the hiring manager. He mentioned the role to be a bid manager, which I had no clue of. I had never heard of that role before. Obviously, I did not mention that to him, but I asked for job description. And he sent me the job description, which again, for an armed forces person like me, who had not seen the corporate life before, was all in Greek.
Right.
So, and this is the year, what I'm talking about is the year about 2011 and 2012. So it was, I think, 2011 when I was doing this. And bid management was almost brand new in India. It was only coming in. People were not knowing about this. I tried to consult a few friends to understand what this role entails. I even tried Googling it out and finding out what this role is about. And what I could find was that the job of this person would be to fill out quotations. And when you hear the word quotation, the first thing which comes to your mind is a single page document with some numbers scribbled on it, right?
Right.
And I was like, seriously, do you even have a role in the company who does this job, sitting the entire day and writing quotations? Who does that? And even if you have such a job, why would someone hire me? Like, I have 10 years of career in Air Force. I have an electronics degree, an aeronautical engineering degree. Why would I go out and do this? And I had not known at that point of time that I'll fall in love with this role of quotation filling, as I called it that time, and I'll spread I'll spread this community by chairing the community for this particular role. So
Oh my goodness.
and that is when I got interviewed for this particular role. I got selected. That was the first job which I picked up in Thales. Thales is a French company,
Mm-hmm.
and is a major provider of defense equipment to the Indian Armed Forces.
Ah, okay. So that's where your background proved to be
Yes.
like pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it worked. So I moved from the other side of table to this side of table. I was reviewing the quotations, not exactly quotation, but then I was moving outside. So my knowledge of armed forces came handy when I did the work on bid management, or I prepared the bids for Thales.
Absolutely. What an interesting entry into bid and proposal management, right?
Exactly. And I think all bid managers have the similar kind of history, because they all fall into this as an accident. I have never come across a single person who has said that I always wanted to be a bid manager, Everybody has accidentally fallen into this, and then everybody had started loving this because of the nature of this particular role.
Yeah, it's such a common story, but it's so interesting hearing how different people fall into the role. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your career from that point?
I started as a bid manager in Thales, and I was predominantly working on defense bids. I spent around 3 years in Thales, and having spent 13 years, 10 plus 3 in Thales, so having spent 13 years in defense domain, I thought I wanted to do something different. I want to move out of defense and venture into some other field, so that I can learn something new, right? And that is when I moved to Ericsson and started working on bids on telecom domain. I joined there as team lead and worked for a couple of years, and then I was promoted to the head of bid management in Ericsson itself.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And after I completed about 3 years plus in Ericsson, I came across this interesting assignment with ISSAS. And this assignment was for setting up this entire pre-sales function for Asia Pacific.
Oh, wow.
ISS, I'm not sure if you are aware, but is one of the largest facilities management company and is present in approximately more than 50 odd countries, and has an employee strength of 450,000 employees across all these countries.
Wow.
So such a large company, and they want me to hire for setting up their pre-sale function was an interesting adventure, I would say, at that point of time.
Absolutely.
First of all, I had no domain experience of facilities management. And second, it involved functions which were beyond bid management. It involved functions of price management. It involved functions of setting up the CRM administration, performance management, the entire knowledge management function. So I was only looking for one part at that point of time with my career in Ericsson. But then this opened up a whole lot of new opportunities for me. And the challenge and the learning possibilities were too tempting to refuse. So I accepted.
Yeah. Wow. What an exciting role for sure.
Yeah. And I have been in this role for almost 3 years and responsible for the commercial excellence function for Asia Pacific. As you mentioned, it encompasses bid management, price management, CRM, performance management, graphic designing, knowledge management, all of this under one domain.
Oh my goodness. So you're still, 40 under 40, and you've achieved so much, particularly in this very exciting role that you're in. Can you tell us a little bit about any of your other achievements that you're proud of this far?
Other achievements. So my achievements with there are a couple of achievements which I have with my career with Airforce, where I was awarded as the best transportable radar unit. So my unit was awarded as the best unit in the entire Airforce, which was a proud moment for all of us. Then apart from the Air Force or the military career, in the corporate world, I have achieved, there are a lot of recognition which I achieved in Ericsson's role. So we were able to set up a collaborative function between Ericsson North America and Ericsson India. which was the bid office or Ericsson Global Services Office in India. We were able to set up that excellence center where we were able to work together as one team. Having done that, we were able to also establish and function with Northeast Asia. So sitting in India, we were able to establish a bid center for Northeast Asia. And all of that came as a wonderful achievement. And I also earned ACE awards for Ericsson for 2 consecutive quarters.
Wow, that's awesome. Can you tell us about maybe a proposal that stands out as a memorable one for you?
One proposal would be difficult to say, in fact, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, I have memorable proposals in each of the domains, and obviously it is like your first love. You never forget that, you know. So
yeah.
your first proposal is your most memorable proposal in each of the industry. And
okay.
So the first one which I worked in Palace was a large proposal by far. So it was worth 1.2 billion euros, and it was my first proposal as a corporate individual. Now, someone may ask as to why was such a massive proposal given to a newbie like me who had no experience in managing bids.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where that is the fun of having a good boss, you know. You have a good mentor, great leader. So I had this boss who was also an armed forces veteran who showed great confidence in me and said, "You work, I'm here to support you. Whatever goes right will be to your credit, and whatever goes wrong will be my responsibility." And that was it. So I only wanted to hear those words. And then after that, everything, we worked together. We worked on that huge proposal. We obviously had to work long nights and had to learn a lot of new things for me. But then he was always there to support and make me understand how it works, how to take the sign-offs, how to present the proposals to the CXOs. So he was there when I wanted or when I took my first corporate steps, and I will never forget him throughout my life for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Having that great mentor and that great leader, particularly on an early proposal effort, is so critical.
Yeah. And similar thing. So that was my first proposal, which was a memorable one. The second one, again an interesting story. It is a strategic proposal which we did with Ericsson, and we did it for North America. And this was not a single proposal, but a series of proposals that we gave to the customer. The customer, I would not name any of them, but the customer was deploying their own solution for various cities in America, right? So they were going city by city, and they wanted to deploy their solution in all of those cities. And we were guiding them through. So we were giving them facts and figures, which was helping them decide the city that they should go out with an RFP for. Now, this is the wanted position which I want for every bid manager and every company. Have an ability to write the RFP for your customers now. And we were in that position at that point of time. And we went to that extent that in the RFP document, the customer gave credits to our company for the diagram that they had positioned in the RFP document.
Wow.
Yeah. It was not easy. Again, it was not easy. We had to work a lot. We almost spent 14 to 18 hours a day to get to that position. We were researching through the demographic data of US sites. We're looking at the number of populations that the 300 top cities in America has, reviewing those demographics, trying to work out a number that would be beneficial for the customer if they deployed their solution in that particular city. And this was all done with a very small team. So it was me, who was the bid manager, the solution director, and the account manager. So we were the only 3 people who were trying to get this entire thing together.
Oh my gosh.
With the 3 of us, we worked a great team. It was a great team when we were working together. We had some great wins when we did those for that particular account.
Wow.
And again, in my current company, again, my first bid happens to be my memorable one. Again, the reasons are the same. You get to learn on your first bid. You don't know anything about the industry. So the first bid, it was not as large as the previous 2, my first bid, but then it was a lot of learning in this. I did not know anything about facilities management. my entire team which was working on this account or this bid was new. And none of them came from facilities management. We had picked up the team from outside. Everybody came from either software or other industry, but none was from facilities management. And I believe that was the best part of it. Since we were not from this industry, we were able to think out of the box. We were able to question the normal and the standard ways of working and apply our lateral learnings from outside of FM industry. And we almost ended up winning that particular bid. There were some last minute changes in our organizational policies because of which we had to tweak some terms, which resulted in not favoring us. But we're still very proud of that particular performance on our first bid, where we actually defeated a lot of heavyweights, in the FM industry.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, getting that outside perspective and being able to think outside the box and really implement and deliver a very strong proposal response. So before we dig into a little bit more about, your role in APMP and your career a little bit deeper, can you tell us 3 things that not many people know about you?
Today I have 3 things which not many people know about me, but then tomorrow these will be public, after you.
Right.
Okay, so the first thing which not many people know about is my background from armed forces. I have that on the LinkedIn profile, but then still there are people in my company, current company or my previous company who don't know about my background. So that is one thing which many people don't know. The second thing which many people don't know was that I was a member of the Blue Ribbon panel for the APMP-BoK. This was in 2014 when, even before I think I had an APMP membership when I was actually doing this.
Oh, wow.
So, and thirdly, third thing which not many people know about is I have completed 100 days of running challenge back to back for 2017, 18, 19. And I'm currently on the 46th day for the challenge of 2020. Now, this 100 days of running challenge is a test of your grit, determination, and fitness. The rules are very simple. You need to run every day for 100 days. No excuses.
Oh my gosh.
No sickness. You don't
so
need
how
to
many?
don't need to run a lot. You only need to run at least 2 kilometers a day. There is no upper limit though. You can run as many kilometers you want to run, but then you at least have to run 2 kilometers every day. And there is no excuse to that.
Wow.
And this particular challenge starts at the peak of summers in India. The temperatures in summers in India could be anywhere around 35 degrees centigrade to 40 degrees centigrade.
Yikes.
And the idea behind that is if you can run through this hot season, then you can run throughout the other seasons and maintain your fitness.
Wow. That's got to take some very, mental toughness on top of, athleticism, right?
Yeah. Athleticism. So what Airforce has taught me is your mind is always superior to your body. If your mind decides that you can do something, your body cannot stop it from doing it.
This blue ribbon that you mentioned about APMP, let's begin from there.
Okay.
When did you join APMP as a member, and talk us through a little bit more about this blue ribbon panel that you were part of, APMP-BoK? Okay,
so interesting story. I joined APMP as a member in 2014, I believe. 2014, yeah, maybe 2013. I don't remember exactly. But then this was, we joined this as a part of, when we were in Ericsson, so we had a learning and development plan for every person. And all the bid managers were supposed to take a foundation level certification. And that is when we joined APMP as a member. However, I had heard a lot about APMP with my job in Thales. So we did a bid management training, which was not an APMP training, but it was a Thales University training on bid management, which was delivered by Ken Newland, who was, I think, the chair of APMP UK at that point of time. So he traveled all the way from UK to India to deliver this training to us. And that is when he told us about APMP. And that's the first time when I heard about APMP. And we had given him our contact details. He had everything, and he said that he will circulate the details to APMP member, APMP board, and that is, I think, how I got a link to author the APMP-BoK. So when APMP-BoK was being written, or when it was being produced, I think I got an invite from Dragonfly Editorial to check whether I have the capability to write and I would be interested in writing something for APMP-BoK. And I applied for it. We were supposed to send some documents to prove that we can write something, obviously. And on the basis of that, they did not select me as an author, but they selected me as a reviewer for the APMP-BoK. And then I was given 6 or 7 chapters from the APMP-BoK to review, which I had done and submitted it back to them. And this particular blue ribbon panel was a panel of 24 industry experts at that point of time, and we were all given specific chapters to review and comment and give our feedback on.
Wow. Okay. From then on, you have been a very strong supporter of APMP, which has even take you all the way up to becoming a chair of APMP India. So can you share your experience of being part of the APMP India board for so long and now being a chair?
Yeah, APMP India happened to just happen as a matter of fact. So in fact, the way I joined the membership was an interesting story to say. I got in touch with Krishna Kumar Iyer, who's the executive director for APMP India, similar to Rick Harris for the APMP International. And we shared some great ideas together about what to do for the proposal management community, what kind of proposals are there. And since he had a background in IT and I had background about 2 different industries, and there was always a good discussion which we had about the bid management, the roles that a bid manager should play. And then he said that, Sunil, you have very different ideas from a normal IT bid manager. Would you want to join something as the board? And it was a great thing. So it was again an interesting challenge to take, and I accepted that. I have been on the board for 1.5 years now. The first 8 months as a member, I think I joined somewhere in May last year. So I have been a member for 8 months or so, and I was nominated as the chair in the month of January 2020, which is this year. The experience has been great. The first year as a member, the first few months as a member, we were a small board. We had only 3 members. Although we wanted to do a lot, but we did not have enough people, time, or bandwidth to do the same. There were only 3 members. We had day jobs to do. There was very little that we could achieve. So we decided that we have to, in order to communicate, or in order to move this community, we had to have more hands at deck. And that's when we decided to grow this from 3-member board to a 7-member board. Only after we increase the members, we have gained some momentum and some speed. We have a lot of members, we have a lot of specific activities that we are currently driving. And for all of those activities, we now are forming committees, and we'll be seeking more volunteers for those committees so that we can then drive this and organize this in a much better way.
Perfect. And January, you became the chair of APMP India. I think it was February, we had this first India conferences.
Yes, yeah. The CBPM. Wow. I still get goosebumps when I talk about CBPM, you know. So yes, we had been discussing. So when we took on the board, the first meeting as a member of the board, when we first met at a national level meet, we decided that we wanted to do something of this level. We wanted to do a conference because that is where we would get the head start. So even before I became the chair, we had the seeds of the conference on. So along with the 3 members that we were there in the previous board, we decided that this is something that we would want to go for. And in fact, we had also decided the date as 31st of January 2020 by the previous board. Some legwork was already done when the new board formed. So on the 1st January, when we had the new board and we announced that within 30 days, we'll have the conference going up. Everybody was overwhelmed by that particular decision when we met them. And they're all anxious as to how can we do such a conference uh, within 30 days of them becoming the board members. They wanted to do something big. This was their opportunity to do something big. And not having enough time in their hands was getting them jittery. So we had long debates, we had long arguments, we had long discussions in order to see what all things are we missing for getting that conference done. And then there were some very nice ideas which were brought out by the new board members, which we had not thought about. And we all agreed that we need to push it ahead by a month. So we pushed it from 31st January to 28th February. And I would say that was the best decision that we took, because the amount of success that we got from that particular conference was only because of the hard work that was put in by each and every board member. I am not sure if we did it on 31st January, we would have been as successful as we had on the 28th of February.
Yes. I just came in.
You were there as well. Yes, I remember.
It was amazing. It was amazing. So that's a great work. And how are we planning for the next one now? We have 150 for the very first one. Do we have plans to continue next year as well?
Yes, so we still are planning to do it in the same month next year, 2021. We still have plans to do February 2021. However, we don't know as to how the pandemic will evolve. If this will subside by the end of this year, and if everything opens up as usual, then we'll go ahead and we are hoping to have double the number of delegates this time for the conference next year.
Definitely, Sunil. And then when Rick was here at Scribble Talk like a month ago, Rick dropped the news of BPC Asia as well, and I'm sure our APMP India might be super excited about hosting the BPC Asia as well.
Yes, we are. In fact, we have had this discussion. I'm not sure. I did not know that Rick already dropped that, so I thought it was a secret. But I now know it is an open secret.
No, he shared that in Scribble Talk when he was here as a guest.
Yeah. So yes, and so because of BPC Asia, we were also trying to look at the timing for both the events so that both the events don't overlap. But then we have sufficient gap between the two events, and I'm sure both the events will be great events because we're planning a lot of activities around it. BPC as usual will be a great event, so we have no doubts about it. It will be the first event in Asia. We are all bummed up. We're all bummed up to have members from across the Asia community countries to attend this conference. Yeah, looking forward to it. Really excited about the entire thing,
Definitely, I think Rick always had big plans for India, and even while I was chatting, it was like the next 10,000 members. I always make joke with him. At least 25% will be coming from India.
Yeah, and I have no doubts to it. So if you look around India. The number that we see in India as bid and proposal managers turns around to be 70,000 odd people. Wow. Who are somewhere related to bid and proposal management profession. Now, this could be more, this could be less, but this is a random search which we did on APMP, on LinkedIn, where we found that at least 70,000 people are there who have bid management qualifications and roles to play in their own companies. And if you look at the number of members we have in India, it's only 400. Some 400 plus 420 odd people that we have as members, and we have around 300 certified bid managers. Now, look at the market, 70,000, and we are only at 400. I'm sure that this 70,000, we will be able to convert a lot of those 70,000 people into APMP members and certified members as well. The only thing that we have, or the only issue that we have, where we have not been able to secure it, as far as my understanding goes, is because there is no pull from the hiring managers at this point of time. If you look at the job descriptions of bid managers, nowhere they say APMP preferred or APMP mandatory. And if you look at a similar profession, the project management professionals, you very clearly see that PMP certified mandatory or PMP certified preferred in the job descriptions as is. So that is the main difference. Plus, the second difference is there is no difference in the type of hiring or the salaries of a certified versus a non-certified bid manager. So if there is no difference, why would someone go for a certification of a membership? And that is something that we are planning to change. That is something that we are trying to change out here. So some of our steps that we are planning to take is to drive that pull from the hiring or from the companies itself. And the second thing is we are trying to do a lot of professional development, skill development for our bid managers, so that you can see the difference between a certified bid manager and a member of APMP versus a non-certified and a non-member of APMP. So we're gaining momentum. I'm sure within some time we would be able to organize this unorganized bid management sector in the country.
100%, Sunil. I think I remember 2014 when I was with Serco as head of bid management for Serco, for example. I wasn't aware of APMP, and Serco being the company that used to be called as the company that runs the government in UK with 100 plus contracts. I wasn't aware of APMP, but APMP in UK was started early 2000. 15 years down the line, the largest contractor, we didn't know APMP, and I had 72 people just for me.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the journey that we will be going through here. What now, if you look at the profiles in UK, it's well established, so, fast forward 2014 now to 2020, APMP is becoming a de facto standard here. So, and that's the journey that will evolve much more on a fast track basis. I don't think we have to wait for 20 years. It will happen in the next 7 or 8 years, or 5 to 7 years, let's put it that way. But it's a journey, you're right, but it's a 100% journey. But we have a solid team, and we have proper ethos, values, and people like you. Only positive things will happen from there. Let's talk about the APMP 40 under 40 award winner. I'm looking at your profile, 18 years career, and you managed to cross 40 under 40, and you're not even in close to 40. How?
So that was my last chance to get 40 under 40, In fact, by the time it was awarded, I was already out of 40. So
Yes.
I'm born in 79, which makes me, so November 79. So I was just eligible to submit that in time so that I could gain the 40 under 40. I had applied, and for information, I had also applied for 2019 40 under 40, but I was not successful. And then I applied for 2020, and I was successful. There were a lot of activities which happened between 2019 to 2020, which I think impacted the professional community, because of which I was awarded this time and not the last time.
I think it's 100%. I think you have been a very, very strong avid contributor to APMP as a community, and I wish you all the very best, even to get APMP fellow very soon, Sunil. I'm sure with the rate that you're currently going on, partnering with Christine on becoming ICP member, then also contributing to WPV now, and also all the other initiatives that you're working on, man. I'm super confident for you there.
I think I've been lucky, I would say. So I have been lucky all the way around in order to get to the right position at the right time, right place at the right time. Interesting journey about ICP also. I would just like to share that as well. So when we were deciding the committees that we would want to grow in India as a part of the membership board or the board membership, we were looking at all the kinds of initiatives that we should be driving. And one of the initiatives was driving the B school education. So we named it as a B school program in India. And we had a board meeting to get all of those initiatives approved. And this particular program, the B school program, was kind of not approved by the board in India, primarily because of the pandemic situation at this point of time. So the board thought that let's push this for a year now. Let's not do any activity on this particular front for this year. Let's do it next year, because by that time we would have established it very well. Pandemic would have ended, so we would go back to the colleges and meet the professors and do all of those kind of things which we want to do. And I was like, no, I still want to give it a try. Let me reach out to other chapters and discuss if they are doing anything of this sort. And that's when I wrote down an email to the chapter chairs of APMP and asked them that we are interested in these 4 or 5 activities. Is there anything that you would want me to know from your experience? And then I interacted with Bruce, Bruce Farrell, as you know. So Bruce got me in touch with Christine. So it was Bruce who said that, why don't you interact with Christine? Christine is running committee on this sort, and it would be helpful for you to understand it. And then I interacted with Christine, and the ideas went off together. It was like Christine was like, yeah, these are the same ideas which we have been thinking. Why don't you join us? And it was like they were only thinking of doing the initial program in US and the UK. And I was like, Christine, we have 70,000 proposal managers in India. We have 1.3 billion population in India. The largest number of educational qualified people come from India. So why don't you do it in India as well? And she was like, yeah, I would love to do it. And why don't you get enrolled into the committee? And I was like, yeah, happy to join the committee. And that's how it all happens, And that's why I say I've been lucky along the journey of my career, as I have been at the right places at the right time.
Brilliant. And it's not just luck alone, Sunil. I think you have a good heart to contribute and share as well. That's the reason people also reach out to you on the other side, because it's not like luck alone, right? People might use it for their own advantage, but in your case, being a blue ribbon panel, from then on, as early as 2014.
So again, see, when you talk about the blue ribbon panel, no one would anticipate an email falling into your mailbox asking you to write a document when you are not even an author,
Yes.
So again, I would say that was luck.
I don't believe it's luck, but if it's luck, let's leave it as it is. Yes. So now we talked about APMP. We talked about a little bit about your career and stuff. Now let's loosen up a little bit, and we move into the official Nutters round in honor of Howard Nutt, random rapid fire, it's used to be called. So it's pretty light-hearted. So as I mentioned, there is no right or wrong answer here. Fast, whatever that comes in your mind, go for it. Okay?
Okay, I'm excited. Come on.
What was your favorite game to play as a child?
Cricket. No questions on that. You can't ask that question to an Indian.
Do you think aliens are real?
No.
Why not?
I haven't seen them.
Got you. If you were a cake, which cake would you be?
Butterscotch.
Oh, that's nice. Why?
I like it.
If you could visit any place in the world right now, where would you choose to go and why?
Right now is a difficult point, So if you remove the word right now, then I would want to go to Switzerland.
Nice.
But right now, I would like to stay in my own home.
Very good one. I think stay safe. It's the right thing to do now. So, Sunil, do you have family, kids?
Yeah, I have two kids. One is 14-year-old, another is 7 years old.
Nice. So
Both
if
boys.
I ask you, if you ask your two boys, reference for you, what do you think they will say about the father?
What they will say about their father?
Uh-huh.
One will say I'm very strict. Other will say I'm lovely dad.
Which one will say strict?
So the elder one will always find me stricter because he's now in his 10th standard. So I'm a pretty bit strict on him, and I want him to study the right way, do the right things. Whereas the younger one is a doll, is a lovely child, 7 years old. He still has his life to live. So I'm lovely to him at this point of time.
God, they even found out that fathers are normally, emotionally and also what I call biologically attached more to the youngest, and the mom tend to be more biologically, emotionally attached to the eldest.
No doubt. So that is why my wife always loves my elder one.
What's the common thing that you think when you're alone?
I don't think of anything when I'm alone.
Right. Do you sing any song or anything when
No,
you're
I don't. I'm not a song lover, so I never was into songs. I either can think of my work or my studies which are still pending. So either I get stressed over the work which is pending, or either the exams which are pending to be given.
Got you. What do you do to let go of your stress?
I meditate sometimes, or I watch Netflix.
That's a good one. So what's the last program that you watched on Netflix?
I'm watching Breaking Bad at this point of time, so currently on that. I know I'm a bit old on watching Breaking Bad, but then at least I started it.
Yeah, I think that's a must watch, I think,
Yeah.
regardless of which group. So if you were a professional wrestler, what would your
So
ring name be and why?
if I was a professional wrestler, what would I be?
Your ring name, the name of your ring name. When you enter, they make the sound, right?
I can't even think of that. Why would I be a professional wrestler?
It's random question. I told you.
I don't know. Never been into wrestling.
No, I think nobody has. You just need to imagine. Imagine you're there and the Hulk or the Rock or anybody, Undertaker, remember?
I'll keep myself as Bachu.
Oh, nice. So if you could meet anyone from history, who would you meet and why?
There are a lot of freedom fighters whom I actually want to meet to understand what happened actually during that period of time. So either it would be Mahatma Gandhi in order to understand what was the motive behind his ahimsa or non-violent movement, or it could be one of the kings as in Shivaji to understand how was he fighting against the Britishers and the Mughals at that point of time.
Yes. What annoys you the most about people?
When they don't care too much about their own work, when they're not being professional, when they don't. So I hate when people don't think about the work that they're doing, right? So they don't own their own stuff. They need to own it. So without being carelessness at work is the one that annoys me the most.
Got you. If there is any listener who's working with Sunil, this is a strong.
They all know. The ones who work with me all know that part of me.
And to our friendly APMP board members, listen to That's nice. If you were attending a Halloween party, what would your costume be and why?
I think the one from Scary Movie.
Uh-huh.
I would do that. I don't know why, because that is the only Halloween costume that I know of, or I could think of at this point of time.
Yes, that's a nice one. What's the most difficult challenge thus far in your life? The most courageous thing that you've ever done in your life?
That will require some thought. I don't think I can recall that in a rapid fire question answers.
Okay. What's that one food you could never bring yourself to eat?
Brinjal.
Really?
Yeah, I can't eat it.
Oh, but
my wife has tried to force it on me, brinjal and bitter gourd, and I have never tried. I can't eat it. The look of it, I hate it.
Got you. Who haven't you seen or talked to in a long time and hope that they're doing okay?
A lot of my Airforce friends whom I haven't spoken to, I haven't met them for a long time, and I wish everyone is fine.
Nice. What's an ideal weekend for you?
Relaxing, sleeping the entire day.
Got you. If you are chosen to make a dinner for a special guest, who will you invite and what will you cook?
Oh, that's a difficult question. So I would invite a mother of my friend. So this is an Air Force person who is very dear to me, and I would invite his mom because she is one of the world's best cook as I know. And I don't know what I will cook because I can't cook anything for that lady, because she is such a great cook. I can only cook Maggie or maybe a sandwich.
Got you. I think Maggie is good. When I came to UK, I do remember the next night, I came on September 21st, 2003. The next day morning when I woke up, I was completely clueless. I don't know what to cook. There is no coffee. That's when you realize, how many times your mom would have fed you and look at you now. That is nothing. You either do or you die,
Yeah.
That's good. Well done. So if you could take 5 things to a deserted island, what would you take?
Water,
Mm-hmm.
mobile phone,
Okay.
uh, and water, and water, and water, and water. That's it.
Yes, that's nice, of course, without water. Do you ever talk to yourself? If so, what do you say to yourself?
No, I don't think I talk to myself. I haven't. No, I don't talk to myself.
No?
No,
Okay.
don't think so.
What takes you out of your comfort zone?
Interesting question. So, what takes me out of my comfort zone? New challenges, I would say, something which I have never done about before, and that's why when so the things which I have been doing, I get bored and I try to move out of my comfort zone. So if you bring anything which is new to me, if you give me a challenge, I would obviously want to take myself out of the comfort zone to do that.
Got you.
But yeah, I think that's it.
Yes. Which superhero you want to be and why?
Spider-Man. No specific reason. That was the superhero which I grew up watching. So that was the only superhero which I was aware when I was growing up. Nowadays we have a lot of superheroes which my kids watch and I kind of stay with them.
Yes, that's so true, actually. So true. Okay, who's the kindest person you know?
Um, hmm. So again, the kindest person would go back to the Airforce officer which I was talking about. Is Group Captain Amal Yadav and his mom. I haven't never met any other person who is more kinder than those two people. Every mom is kind. Obviously, my mom is kind. But then if I have to look outside of my family, then I would rate those two people as the kindest people that I have known of.
Nice. What's one thing you really like the most about yourself?
Professionalism, my attitude to do work, keep on doing the work, and yeah, I think that's it.
Brilliant. Who are the people who have been the most influential in your life and career?
And there are a lot of people who have been influential. In fact, I have learned by every person who has touched my life and career. Now, be it armed forces career or be it my corporate career, everyone offers you something to learn, and it is for us to decide whether we want to learn or we want to ignore. And if I look around, my colleagues and my managers in my Air Force career or my corporate career, all have been very influential. Like I think I spoke about my boss in my first job. I spoke about my colleagues in the current company. All have been influential. I have learned something or the other from each one of them. So I don't think there is one person or a handful of people which I can name out because the list is too long.
Yes. Nice. How about your family?
Influential in terms of influential person. So again, you learn from everyone, right? Your father is the one who's been teaching you everything, disciplining you throughout your life. Even today, I go and sit with my dad. He teaches me something or the other. My mom is one of the kindest persons. Your kids are the ones who teach you new things these days. Your wife, his spouse, is the one who teaches. Yeah, everybody has been influential. There's nothing which, as I said, I can't pick a name or a handful of names from the long list. Everywhere you go, you learn something. You get influenced by some act of kindness, gratitude, or act of thing which you learn from them.
So true, Sunil. What's kind or thoughtful thing someone did to you?
So the kind thing which someone did to me was to get my resume into their company when I was looking out for a job. And that was done in Palace. Another one was mentored me along the way. I think that would be the thing which I would say. Otherwise, I can't think of anything which has been very kind to me otherwise. So I would say when I was looking out, when I was trying to get out of the Air Force and was resettling in the corporate world, the kindest thing which was done to me was to take my CV, put it in the company and get me a job.
Definitely, definitely. What have you observed lately in this COVID times that reminded you that people are good?
The people are generally good, unless they are taken over by their own greed. And you can notice that by all the incidents which are happening across the world. If you look at the Beirut blast, you will see a lot of examples which remind you that people are good. If you take a look at the recent Air India crash which happened in India, South India, Kozhikode, people lined up in the midnight for donating blood to the crash victims. Nobody told them to do that, but they came on their own. Despite the COVID situation where lockdowns are there, they came out, they were donating blood. And again, so as I say, people are generally good until and unless their greed takes over, unless and until their wants take over. So from the inner nature of a person is a good nature, I would say.
Beautifully said. What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I wish I had known that there are no further exams or no further things to learn when I completed my education or when I started my career.
God, yeah, so, that's a nice word.
When I was completing, I always thought that this is the last exam, this is the last book that I'll ever read, and I can't stop it now. Every day is a new exam, every day is a new learning, every day you read a new book. Even RFP you have to study that RFP to remember everything of that. So the learning and exams never tend to end.
Got you. Life is a long time journey of learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Learn everything every day. That's nice. So what's the best piece of advice you have received and from who?
So I remember the first thing which I was, so my first system in the Air Force was a automatic data handling system. And the professor who was teaching us that gave us an advice, which I still remember. So this was, I'm talking about 18 years back, and he used a statement which says, give the system what it needs and it will give you what you need. And you can put it in any act of life. So remove the word system and put it whatever you want to. But what I see is if you give the system what it needs, you will get what you want. So take an example of your own team. If I give my team what they want, for example, if I give them proper training, if we give them proper motivation, if I give them learning avenues, I'll get what I need from them. They'll do the work with full motivation, enthusiasm, and the right way to do it, right? So I think this is the best piece of advice which has remained with me till now, even after 18 years of my career.
That's very powerful advice. And what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
I would say that never think anything as small or big. Do your work with full passion and enthusiasm, with full professionalism, and own it. So you need to own your stuff. Nobody should be able to complain about the work that you deliver. That is what I always keep saying to my own team member. Once it has moved out of your mailbox, then you are responsible for it. So you should be owning it, and nobody should be able to question your work.
That's super powerful advice there. Is there any part of your life or career, or is there anything else that you would like to share, Sunil, before we close?
Nothing except for we want this community to grow. So we want the bid and proposal management community to grow. We are taking a lot of initiatives. And in fact, we want this to be an intentional career. As you know, I have been part of intentional career path. So the more people we get, the more awareness that we spread around about this particular role, the more better this community will become. In fact, bid management is the only function in a company which touches all the other departments. So if you look at a bid manager, he is interacting with sales, he's interacting with finance, he's interacting with legal, with procurement, and he's developing all of those skills from each of those specific trades. is the only one who's working with all of them. He's also working with the CXOs. And he is helping them achieve more business. So I go to the extent of saying that a company survives because of the bid management function in a company. So every bid manager should think about himself as the orchestrator of a symphony. He should think about himself being the center point of focus. Now, in a symphony, if you know, there are a lot of experts who are the musicians which are playing different instruments. But unless and until you have an orchestrator driving that symphony, you will not hear a orchestra, or you will not hear a symphony coming out of those musicians. None of those musicians would be able to drive it the way an orchestrator drives it. And that is what I want to tell everyone who's listening to this podcast, that if you are a bid manager, then be that orchestrator of the symphony, be the orchestrator of the entire bid management team or the entire organization. And if you are a company, then I would want you to give those kind of roles and responsibilities to your bid managers in the company.
100%. That's such a powerful statement to finish this. Sunil, it's been an absolute privilege to have you as our very first guest from the Indian subcontinent. And India is still the third. I think our listeners come from around close to 40 countries. India ranks 3. You'll be pleased to know. So we have at least out of the 3,000 odd downloads, at least 400 to 450 downloads. In 25% of our downloads happens from India, which means that there are lots of people who are interested to know more about APMP history, more about who are the key people in India, etc. And I'm so happy to have you as our very first guest here.
Let me say you, Bhaskar and Ashley, you're doing a wonderful job where you're spreading these podcasts and spreading the awareness. I think all of your Scribble talks, all of your work which you're doing in order to spread awareness and spread the gratitude, I find it wonderful. Thank you so much for doing the thing that you do, Bhaskar and Ashley.
Thank you, definitely. So it's been an absolute privilege to have you with us at Scribble Talk. Wish you all the good health and happiness. Please do continue to inspire bid and proposal industry colleagues and everybody around you. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and take good care of yourself, Sunil. Thank you.
And you do the same, Bhaskar and Ashley. Stay safe. It's a jungle out there. Be within your homes. Don't venture out.
Thank you, Sunil.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchyscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays,
Bhaskar Sundaram,
signing off.